Hey guys, it's your boy Kenny Boulder with a story that we should be covering about TCGplayer. So, TCGplayer has been having a strike for the past few weeks, and I want to cover the story because I believe that since we consume a lot of products, we see the prices, we go through a lot of these hoops, we should go over and see what's happening in TCGplayer. So, to give you an overview of TCGplayer, TCGplayer is a website where you can buy cards. It basically keeps track of prices for all cards, whether that be Magic the Gathering, Arcana, Pokemon, especially Yu-Gi-Oh, you name it. TCGplayer basically keeps track of it, okay? And I did not know this. TCGplayer actually is owned by eBay. So you go on Wikipedia right here. TCGplayer is owned by eBay. So eBay owns TCGplayer. I've been using TCGplayer for years now to keeping prices of Pokemon cards. That's what I do. I see Pokemon cards. I usually, when I rip them, I want to look at the price of what it is. I go to TCGplayer and see what it is. So I didn't realize that they actually got bought by eBay in 2002 for $295 million. So they've been owned by eBay for the past few years now. And recently, they've been going through a lot of shenanigans that I think is kind of, we got exposed. We got to talk about this. So, a lot of employees have been laid off. So, 20 days ago, on Pay Money Wubbly, I've never heard this subreddit, by the way, over 400 employees got laid off after coming to work for an optional meeting. I was one of those people. So, we go on here in this little link here. Local news. eBay shut down Syracuse operations at TCGplayer, eliminating 220 jobs. So eBay confirms that they basically shut down the local operations of their downtown Syracuse area, and they are going to lay off 220 people over the next few months. An eBay spokesperson said that we're constantly evaluating our authentication capabilities and logistics footprint to ensure we're offering the best class and service for our customers. As a result, TCGplayer is closing its Syracuse Authentication Center to consolidate operations within an eBay logistics center in Kentucky. This was a very difficult decision. We recognize the near-term impact it will have on our employees, their families, and the Syracuse community, and we're dedicated to taking care of the people during this transition. And again, we talk about how it was sold by eBay, etc., etc. So, first comment: union busting scum tactics. Dedicated to taking care of our people during the transition. What they mean is those people got laid off, so they're technically not our people anymore, so they can kick rocks. Fuck TCGplayer. Union busting trash. So this started late May, and it just keeps escalating. At one point, the subreddits, a lot of folks started exposing, saying, "Hey, we gotta call a boycott." So obviously, the local union, a lot of communities like Magic the Gathering said, "Hey, we're calling for a boycott of TCGplayer." So, comments, 4.9 thousand upvotes, 135 comments. The post was locked. So, comments from the mods. You know the drill by now. Union talk equals lock thread. You'll have proven you can't discuss this topic like civil adults who are not facilitating slap fights. News stays up. Pointless arguments don't. Today I learned that eBay owns TCGplayer. It's been around 2 years since they owned it. It feels recent to me. If I recall correctly, this is the first time they've actually asked for a boycott. eBay should honestly be ashamed of their behavior, and I say this is a long-term eBay sale with thousands of transactions. Already on it. Yep, as soon as I read the second article, I deleted the app and canceled an order. I made my first ever TCG player order like last month. What kind of luck do I have? They immediately betray me like this. Reposting from another post. But the union also recommends that you support local game stores during the boycott. Many of them have their own online stores, and using them also helps their dodge their TCG game player fees that they can put purchases made through them as a middleman. Support them in person or support them online. Just do that in order to avoid utilizing TCGplayer until they come back to the bargaining table. It'll help local game stores if you make a habit of buying from them directly too. This does not mean your local game store, but any that you can buy cards from. This means larger stores such as Card Kingdom, Cool Stuff Inc., etc. are good. but there are also many smaller stores that operate mainly through the TCG player as the main middleman. You can do something such as go to the TCG gaming place, see what seller has your card, then look them up directly. This isn't easy, obviously, but it aids both their business and goes around the middleman so they don't get supported. And then someone mentions Card Kingdom is unionized. So the gist of this is that, you know, this is a business. This is a place where we have to talk about what it looks like with buying Pokemon, trading Magic the Gathering cards, trading cards in general. There are jobs that are being affected by this, and there are union paying jobs. So the gist of I'm getting this is that this whole thing came from eBay union busting. And I know I've thrown a lot of terminology of Pokemon card investing, Pokemon card businesses, and I've thrown a lot of shade at resellers, rip and shippers, etc. But I also recognize that TCGplayer has a lot of union jobs in it. I'm not talking about resellers. I'm not talking about people who are owning, you know, ripping ships, live streams. No, these are guys, men and women who work in factories and work in like a distribution center. They're going through cards, they're going through products. This isn't the same thing. And so I think there's a difference when I'm calling out eBay and calling out resellers and scalpers for this kind of behavior. It's just wrong. What eBay is doing is wrong, and we have to acknowledge that. You can't be doing this for something you bought 2-3 years ago. You can't be firing people and laying people off to consolidate your businesses. And for a while, let me say this, TCGplayer was a direct competitor to eBay. And obviously, for the last 2 years, 3 years, it's been, you know, business as normal. But now they're taking away jobs. They're now busting the, you know, areas, and they're doing stuff that's really shitty. So another post right here. eBay to shut down Syracuse operations of TCGplayer, limits 220 jobs. So again, same message from the eBay spokesperson as well. Actually, this is the same article. Oops. This is another one right here. This was last week. So last week, TCGplayer union rallies after businesses relocated. 220 employees put on notice. Here's a local news video. So here we go and watch this real quick.
For employees and union leaders at the trading card company TCGplayer. They're angry at the giant tech company eBay. The employees are looking for support right now as hundreds are soon to be out of work, asking their union how this was allowed to happen. Our Hannah Devaney's live downtown tonight after attending that rally. Hannah.
Matt, the rally was right over here, and the crowd was full of employees and union leaders, and they were heavy with emotion. They were saying now they need new jobs and are calling on local leaders to step in on the fight between them and eBay.
Labor movement is that we will not go quietly.
That's right. Not at all. My entire career here, I've loved my job, and getting that mat being taken off my feet, that's crazy. What is happening here?
Andrew Vivolo has worked at TCG for the past 4 years. And
so again, you know, I had to highlight this. TCGplayer was a competitor to eBay. eBay bought out TCGplayer, and they began to close everything and start relocating operations to Kentucky. And a lot of these folks, they're not going to move across the country to Kentucky, to Louisville, or Louisville.
And he says he has not been able to sleep since he's heard the news.
That makes me happy to come into work every day. It's unbeatable. And to lose that hurts. It hurts more than I can fathom.
Vivolo says he has never been to a better workplace in his life, but that's about to end in a couple of weeks after TCGplayer is moving to Louisville, Kentucky, leaving him and the rest of the employees without a job.
I have an almost 4-year-old daughter that I have to tell, I got to start from the rock bottom again.
This comes 2 years after unionizing, which is the first union inside eBay ever. Vivolo, and union president of CWA Local 1123, believe them unionizing has a lot to do with the layoffs.
Their claim.
So look at that sign. Sorry. eBay's worth $31 billion. We deserve more than scraps. And that's like a thing. Is again, eBay knows what they're doing. They're union busting. They're basically slashing the competition. If they ruin and destroy TCGplayer, guess what the alternatives are? I guess you have Card Kingdom, but you go to eBay. Or you go to, other forms of buying Pokemon cards or Yu-Gi-Oh cards or Magic the Gathering. They're literally slashing their competition that they own. And maybe this is part of the grand plan. You pay, $220 million, you buy your biggest competitor, and then you just, drive the competition down to the ground, so to speak, and you make a monopoly of only eBay.
Layoffs.
They're claiming financial reasons, and we claim the unwillingness to bargain in good faith and to provide a union contract for these folks.
Leon Jr. sat at the bargaining table with higher-ups in eBay. A closure of their warehouse or them not continuing to negotiate with leaders was never discussed.
And at every turn, our union has been there to take action against these injustices.
This move shocked union leaders just as much as employees. And for employees and other people, if they were to say that union leaders didn't do their job in protecting them and their jobs here, what would you say to that?
We've done everything absolutely available to us to protect these jobs. This is solely an eBay decision to pull out of Syracuse,
Kentucky.
So, I think this is important to recognize is that unions are good. I think, I was a union member as well, and I think people should collectively bargain. It is literally the only way to stop people from getting screwed over by big corporations. And obviously, this is the perfect case and example. These people are all working in the same company, the same place, and they're getting screwed over by eBay. So I think this is a case of where unions work, where workers' rights should be recognized. And obviously this is important to address, because we love cards. I love cards. I love cardboard. But I also love the fact that I get to buy it from union-paying workers, buy it from people who get a living wage, good benefits, and these people have families. So I think for me this hits home because these are middle-class, blue-collar people, and I think we can all recognize that you heard it with them. They love what they're doing. They love their jobs at TCGplayer, and I love using TCGplayer. Again, I'm a big fan of it. I'm just not a big fan of what eBay is fucking doing, which is disgusting.
He is also known to be one of the most unfriendliest states when it comes to unionizing. They say the new location choice is absolutely not a coincidence.
I don't think it's a coincidence. I think they're looking for cheap labor, and I think they're looking for a way to make a statement, again, that they're not going to have unions in eBay.
Who the fuck wants to move to Kentucky? And don't get me wrong, Kentucky, I love some parts of Kentucky, I'm sure Kentucky is a great place, but overall, you're moving from New York, Syracuse to Kentucky, Louisville. And yeah, I just think it's not the best place for union members in general. I think it's more of a red state, more Republican, and unfortunately, there's not good protections for workers in those areas. So, it sucks. I think that people are getting screwed over, and if anything you can tell from this story is that employees, workers, union members, they're mad. They don't want to be leaving. They don't want to lose their job. They want to keep working. So, of course, again, when we announce we fight, TCGplayers rally after layoff announcement. Again, this is the same location, same people. TCGplayer started as a small business by Cook Rickley and eventually was bought by eBay a few years ago at nearly $300 million. And a lot of these comments here. On Tuesday, employees had a rally outside the headquarters to express their frustration, chanting, "When we fight, we win." Richard Viho, who worked at TCGplayer for 6.5 years, says he was shocked when the layoffs were announced. It was a gun punch, Viho said. The floor dropped out beneath us. And then another one is that they did, in a way, tell us about the company's business this month, said Robert Guy, a TCGplayer. For 8.5 years, the company's business this month is closing the TCGplayer Unification Center. And that they're moving to Louisville, Kentucky, laying off 220 players. And again, the science, eBay turned our workplace into a prison. People were crying, being escorted out by security, not even being able to gather their thoughts, let alone their personal belongings. The only reason they would do this is to bust our union, and they should be held accountable. And then this is important information. TCGplayer joined the Communication Worker Unions in 2023, making the first group from eBay to formally unionize. Employees have been fighting to finalize a first contract of more than 600 days before the announcement came, which naturally raises some red flags among some employees. We were the first union under eBay, and it's clear that they're trying to maintain a union-free corporation moving forward. eBay, of course, denies these claims and says the shift south will give the company more access to logistics, infrastructure, location, and expertise needed to sustainably serve and invest in the hobby community for years to come. More like they're busting the fucking union. That's what they're doing. They're busting the goddamn union. eBay's just engaging really bad faith economic tactics all the way around. And everybody here is getting hurt by the same company. So yeah, I mean, this is just the unfortunate reality. People losing their jobs. eBay literally doing like the most scummiest corporate shit here. Saying, hey, capitalism, baby, we're going to make more money. This is better for the consumers. These people who have unionized are not able to work anymore. Sorry, we're moving. You snooze, you lose. Sucks to suck. And again, it just keeps going and going. Workers accuse eBay of union busting, harassment, and closing the TCGplayer Center. eBay escalates intimidation of union members' closure after announcement. So on Friday, eBay abruptly announced that it would be closing the authentication center, terminating the employment of hundreds of members. And then deploying security guards to stalk us immediately after letting us know that we would be losing our jobs is psychological warfare. And he also adds, by unleashing this brutal surveillance and intimidation campaign, TCGplayer and eBay are doing everything in their power to punish us for exercising our federal protected rights to organize. We refuse to accept eBay's corporate terrorism and the contempt of its workforce. We will hold eBay accountable in courts, in the streets, and in public eye until justice is served for the very workers who built TCGplayer into what it is today. So, it's just, this is sad, you know? Like, fuck, dude. People getting laid off. People getting screwed over by corporate greed. And of course, they announced something big the other day, yesterday. Hello everyone, we have an important announcement. Please read below. So, this announcement is that from, let me actually make this a little bit bigger. From the Communications Workers of America. Today, we ratify a closing agreement with eBay and TCGplayer with a unanimous vote. After several intensive days of bargaining, sustained pressure from your boycott, and the solidarity of our members, we were able to get and win a sustainable, improved severance package for TCGplayers. This package includes 20 weeks of severance pay with an additional $2.5 hour above current wages for everyone within the bargaining unit. More than double of what we were originally offered. 6 months of COBRA medical coverage paid by the company, 7 months of continuing mental health benefits, and $1,250 ratification bonus for everyone in the bargaining unit. This severance agreement makes sure that our members will land firmly on their feet as we all move forward. We are so grateful for the support the TCG community has shown us, and we would not have been able to make this far without you all. Thank you for standing up with us in solidarity and being at such great allies in our fight. In this great time of extreme inequality, it is important more than ever for the working class to organize. TCG Union CWA built collective power for hundreds of workers in Syracuse, joining together to fight for their fair treatment for all. We fought back against a multi-billion-dollar corporation, changing our understanding of the power we wield, and will carry that us forever. eBay can only beat our union by closing down an entire authentication center and leaving town. We live in a time of unchecked corporate power, and still we brought them to the table again and again. From Syracuse to Louisville, workers everywhere deserve rights, respect, and dignity on the job. As long as we don't stop fighting for it, we will win. So they released this statement, and of course the community gathered around and they supported this. So a lot of folks are saying, cool, thanks to this I found mana pools for singles. I'm not in the mood to start winning back on TCGplayer. I accidentally stumbled upon this create sales account process and agreement urges 2 business days to ship, which addresses my greatest grievance on TCGplayer. People want a freaking week to put my order in the mailbox. This is why unions work. If you're experiencing poor workmen or just sick of being paid less than you're worth, look into your local unions. You can reach out to any area, the most common being IWW or CWA, even if you don't work in the same industry they usually cover. Union strong, fight for the rest. Solidarity works. Let's go. So, unfortunately, I don't think these workers are going to get their jobs back. Again, this is a severance package. Those jobs are gone. And the reality is that TCGplayer is going to continue with their move. So, this story is going to obviously continue, and if there's an update, I'll let you guys know. But the reality is that eBay really fucked over a lot of people for a lot of jobs. And I know this is something. 20-week severance, healthcare coverage, and mental health benefits. It's something, but it's not enough. These people are still losing their jobs, and I hate to say it, I don't think I would use TCGplayer anymore. And again, full disclosure, I never really used it to buy or sell products. I only use it to analyze how much cards were. And I think that, again, their whole main distributing process is that they get cards, you get process them. Local stores offer a product, they get the product, and then they redistribute them. Again, they were kind of like the middleman. So, I'm not going to ever support them because of this. Because eBay, TCGplayer, they're just corporate, like, slags, man. Like, they just do some really shitty things like this. So, end of the day, I feel for the workers. And obviously for union members. And, that's 220 jobs in this economy. 2025 happening. So, end of the day, guys, I had to share the story. I feel this is important. This is important to me personally. This is important to corporate America, especially because union jobs, workers are constantly being screwed over. And in this economy, with trading cards being the hot market right now, the corporate greed is unbelievable. End of the day, eBay is winning very, very hard right now. And I think me and my doggy here, there she is. She wants to say hi. She definitely hates corporations like eBay. So that's why she's stopping by right now. Good girl. And end of the day, it's just, we have to stick to our principles. We have to do the right thing. Worker rights, unions are the right cause. They're good people. And again, I call out scalpers. I call out corporate greed. So this is one of those kind of vibe videos where I have to make and address this. Because at the end of the day, we have to expose these clowns, expose these corporate greed. Because at the end of the day, they're going to keep making money. Their profit margins, this is a $31 billion company. And they're basically destroying their own competitors, which happens that they own as well. So let me know how you guys feel about this, man. Like, this is a crazy story. I feel like a lot of people aren't talking enough about this, so I want to use my platform to expose and to acknowledge the workers getting fucked over by eBay. So again, guys, it's your boy Kenny Boulder. If you like this content, please like, subscribe, and comment. Let me know how you feel about this, because we have to expose eBay for doing this. So again, guys, appreciate your time, and I'll see you next time, y'all. Take care.